Hey, hey, welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to the Travel Media Lab podcast. I am your host, Yulia Denisyuk, an award winning travel photographer, writer, journalist, soon to be videographer, more on that later, community builder, entrepreneur, storyteller, and podcaster. And today, on our podcast, we are continuing our summer reading series in which I share with you some of the most favorite stories that I've done to date. So, we only have a few stories, few episodes left in this summer reading series because summer is coming to an end, and so is this series. And pretty soon, we are going to be starting our next season on the podcast with regular interviews and other episodes like we usually do. So if you've enjoyed this little break in our regular programming, if you've enjoyed traveling to some of these places with me through these stories, do let me know. I always love to hear from our podcast listeners, and you can share your thoughts with me by leaving us a review. Reviews always help a podcast get more visibility, so I really appreciate it. Or you can also share your thoughts with us on social media. Share the podcast or the episode that you particularly liked on your Instagram. Send me a message on Instagram and don't forget to tag us so that we can see it. And of course, you can always find us on Instagram at In Search of Perfect and at Travel Media Lab. So, the story I'm going to share with you today was published in Vogue magazine, and it's about the beautiful alpine region of Vorarlberg in Austria. I hope you enjoy it. How this tiny alpine region became an unexpected cultural hotspot. When you think of an active alpine holiday complete with mountain meadow hikes, world class dining, and ample skiing, you may immediately think of Tyrol, home to the famous winter sports destination of Innsbruck. But veer just to the left, and you'll come across a place where modern art and design ethos, culinary tradition, and deep connection to nature form a tight bond. Vorarlberg. It may be one of Austria's smallest states, second only to Vienna, but the country's westernmost alpine region packs an impressive punch. This year, a host of new accommodations are arriving on the scene, including this mobile standalone glass and wood lodge in Brandnertal, the very first of its kind, this family friendly hotel in Montafon, the only five-star leading hotels of the world property in a German speaking country, and this alpine eco lodge in Lech, made entirely of larch, spruce, and stone pine. For lovers of sleek, stylish design, there's never been a better time to visit. Bordering Germany, Switzerland, and Liechtenstein, Vorarlberg has traditionally been closer to the Germanic mindset than to the Austro Hungarian one. Geographically isolated from the rest of Austria by the Arlberg mountain range, it was a place where a distinct culture developed, one where a culture of craftsmanship and self sufficiency could flourish. The people of Vorarlberg are industrious, says Helga Radler, a local cultural guide. They used to put their rest benches to the back of the house so that no one could see them when they were taking a break. Fear not, though, traveling through Vorarlberg is as relaxing as rumbling through mountainside meadows can get. Like its neighbors, Vorarlberg has plenty of traditional alpine appeal. Wooden houses are typically clad with shingles, a 19th century innovation that allows structures to withstand changing weather by expanding in the rain and contracting in the sun, while flowering fields are filled with roaming cows overshadowed by some of Europe's tallest peaks. And amid all this, you'll also spot plenty of world class contemporary architecture, a rich culture of regional gastronomy, and a range of conceptual art that extends all the way up to the clouds. Vorarlberg's unusual architectural traditions can trace their roots back to Michael Beer, a 17th century artisan who wanted his village, Awe, to be known for woodworking. According to Andreas Rudiger, director of the Vorarlberg Museum in the region's capital of Bregenz, skilled builders started traveling from Vorarlberg to neighboring countries in the 17th and 18th centuries to practice their craft, then brought all that knowledge back home. Liberal construction laws also allowed bold new forms of architecture to be erected here. The architectural aesthetic was propelled even further in the 1970s when a new crop of local architects who called themselves construction artists set out to create design that is in constant conversation with the surrounding landscapes. Using locally sourced glass and timber, these structures are united by an emphasis on clean lines and futuristic shapes, while coexisting with old farmhouses and cows grazing on verdant pastures so particular to this corner of the world. In Krumbach, a 1,000 strong village outside of Bregenz, the renovation of a bus stop ended up turning into a global affair when leading architects from countries like Japan and Chile teamed up with local craft groups to design 7 imaginative new stops for public use. Pritzker Prize winning architect Wang Shu from China built the wooden Glad's egg stop in the shape of a camera obscura, while Belgian trio De Wilder, Vink, and Tai Liu dreamt up the metal Unterkrumbach Sud, molded at a sharp angle reminiscent of nearby snow laden mountains. We simply wanted to make more out of our bus shelters, says Krumbach's globetrotting mayor Arnold Hirsbuchel, who was the brains behind the idea. In the nearby village of Hittisau, a hiker hotspot in the summer, a museum launched in 2000 celebrates the cultural achievements of women. The award winning Hittisau Women's Museum, the only one of its kind in Austria, sits atop a village fire brigade in a building made of local silver fir with a floor to ceiling glass front. Here, exhibits on the history of marriage commingle with rooms for birth and census, a walk in clay sculpture that serves as a prototype for the ideal space within which to deliver a baby. Just like their ancestors who moved in and out of Vorarlberg while honing their craft, the people of the region are constantly on the move today, guided by the centuries old agricultural tradition of three-step alpine transhumance. Inscribed into Austria's UNESCO list of intangible cultural heritage, it's a practice used by local farmers to this day that involves migrating with their cattle through a trio of stages. During the winter, cows spend time in barns eating air dried local hay. In the spring and fall, farmers move their cows in and out of Vorsalp, lower mountain pastures nearby. The celebratory Alpha Tree event in the fall invites travelers to partake in this tradition too. Summer months are spent in higher altitude Alps, where cows load up on herbs and grass, churning out silo free milk that the region's 70 or so creameries use to hand produce 200 tons of Alpkäse, the exquisite Vorarlberg cheese which takes on the meadow's aromatic flavor. This practice of tracing ingredients to the nearest meadow extends to the region's many high gastronomy restaurants, from the lakefront Pier 69 in Bregenz, serving leeks with Vorarlberg Wildtang, to the experimentation kitchen inside Gasthof Hirschen Hotel in nearby Schwarzenberg, where chef Jonathan Berger uses fermentation methods like koji and ingredients from Hirschen's own garden and working dairy farm up the slopes to serve crowd favorites like marinated grilled artichokes with fermented yogurt and Kaskknödel, a traditional egg dish with cheese and roasted onions. Although Hirschen is known for its healthy obsession with food, it's also a cultural institution all of its own. Inside the 18th century heritage guest house, no two rooms are the same, and works by Herschen resident artists like Hannah Burkhardt, a multimedia creator, hang on the walls. While young people tend to leave for the big cities, most of them return, driving the urban minded spirit and the quality of architecture, design, and hospitality in the region, says owner Peter Fetz, Herschen's 10th generation hotelier. South of Schwarzenberg lies Arlberg, the birthplace of alpine skiing, which over the years has grown to become Austria's largest connected ski area. In Arlberg, a network of hikes passes by nearly 200 miles of ski slopes, over 100 lifts, and jagged mountain peaks at every turn. The Lechweg Trail connects two ski resort villages, Worth and Lech, through a river canyon track that takes hikers past grazing cattle, thickets of wild blueberries, and high altitude farmhouses, active in the summer and abandoned for the rest of the year. The talk of the town this year is Schoolhouse, the refurbished alpine dairy at the gourmet hotel Rotewand in Lech, where Austria's hottest chef, 28-year-old Julian Steger, now serves ultra local ingredients like char from a nearby lake at Chef's Table, a multi course dining experience guests travel to from all around the world. At 4,738 feet, Lech is also known for Skyspace Lech, one of over 80 signature sky spaces around the world by the renowned artist James Turrell. An unassuming structure blending into an earthen hill, the oval shaped room with an opening toward the sky is accessed through a tunnel that carefully aligns to deliver center stage views of Bieberkopf Peak, the alpine giant on the border of Austria and Germany. Stepping inside the austere room is akin to turning your phone on Do Not Disturb mode. As the lights shift between deep blue, bright red, and soothing green, it fosters both a sense of awe and a feeling of union with nature. Everything you could want from a break in Vorarlberg. All right, so that is our story for today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to take a look at the written version of the story, you can find it in the show notes. We'll be sure to link to it as well. Thank you so much for listening today, everyone. If you did enjoy this episode or the series, do let me know on social by sharing this episode with everyone else. Thank you again, and I will see you next week.